Hey all, Carpetbagger here, coming to you live from my bunker. And what I wanted to do here was give an update on an amusement park known as Ghost Town in the Sky. Ghost Town in the Sky has been a continued topic here on the Carpetbagger channel. Often I do get asked about what's going on with Ghost Town. When is Ghost Town gonna reopen? And there's been some developments. Now, one of my videos actually referred to Ghost Town as being cursed, and that's actually quoted in the Charlotte Observer as saying that the mountain was cursed. But recent events have done nothing to prove my point. Now, Ghost Town was a amusement park opened in 1961. It was built on the top of a mountain. You had to either use a chairlift or a funicular railroad to get all the way to the top. And they had a Wild West Village, gunfights, all sorts of fun Wild West themed attractions. Now, Ghost Town would be a pretty popular attraction in Maggie Valley, North Carolina until a fateful day in 2002 when the malfunction caused the ski lift to break down and leave guests dangling for over 2 hours. The park would be closed that day and would not be open again until it was purchased by new owners and reopened in 2007. Now, Ghost Town in the Sky would be, from that point on, plagued with financial difficulties. The new owners put $38 million into the park to get it up to code. And this includes $6 million invested in their roller coaster, previously known as the Red Devil and then renamed the Cliffhanger. The roller coaster would operate for 1 day. 1 day would operate, and that $6 million went into operating the roller coaster for that 1 day. And now what I'm about to say now is maybe urban legend, but I've heard it from more than one source that on the 1 day that the roller coaster was operating, that they were using cinder blocks inside the roller coaster cars to help weigh the cars down. And keep in mind, this is a roller coaster that does inversions. Now, in 2009, the park would actually ask the town of Maggie Valley to give it a loan, saying that it would help the local economy if they were allowed to continue operating. They asked for $300,000, I think a little more than that, and kind of a bizarre scene during a town hall meeting when in the middle of them asking for money, they declared that someone had just called in, an anonymous donor just called in and donated all the money they needed, which strange. However, this mysterious donation did not seem to make the problems go away. Ghost Town continued to operate without paying its employees. The employees were loyal enough that they were promised that they would keep working, they would get paid eventually, and they worked for weeks and weeks without a paycheck. I know this personally because I've spoken with people who had decided to continue working for literally no pay. In 2010, there was actually a mudslide at Ghost Town that caused the road that leads up to the top of the mountain to be covered in mud, and it would be cleaned up with the taxpayer dollars as the federal government would give Ghost Town over $1 million to clean up the mess. So Ghost Town would end up in bankruptcy until 2012 when it was purchased by a elderly Maggie Valley resident by the name of Alaska Presley, who bought it for $2.5 million, probably like pennies on the dollar what it was actually worth. Now, Alaska's plan was to keep the Wild West theme in part of the park, but then change the other part of the park into a replica of the Holy Land as being a Christian amusement park. Actually, there was talk of dismantling the roller coaster and using that to create the world's largest cross on top of the mountain. Now, the park was actually opened briefly under Alaska Presley's ownership of the park, and a very terrifying incident occurred. There was a gunfight going on in the Main Street area where all the gunfights are, and the Apache Kid, who was a cowboy that was kind of an iconic figure in the park. You know, his image, his pictures were used in a lot of the marketing for Ghost Town. Anyways, the Apache Kid, during a gunfight, was shot for real. Either there was a real bullet put in the gun. They used real guns just with blanks, or some piece of metal or something was in the barrel and fired out. I've heard different stories exactly what happened, but he was hit by a metal object out of a gun and seriously injured. There was blood. This happened, in front of kids. There's blood pouring everywhere. Some guests run to help get him some help clean his wounds, and they realized that the park has no running water. Apparently the water had all been shut off because it had been deemed contaminated by the state. So the Apache Kid goes to the hospital from his gunshot wound and is asked by Alaska Presley to take a drug test. Apache Kid refuses to take a drug screen for whatever reason, and he is immediately fired. So in the same day, he has been shot at work and then fired. That is a bad day at the office. I certainly don't want to spread any unfounded rumors against anyone or stir up any trouble, but the Apache Kid actually claimed that it was not an accident and that someone had arranged for him to be murdered during the gunfight. So take that for what you will. So the park will be closed until 2015 when they announced that they were rebranding and kind of restructuring what they were. They changed their name to Ghost Town Village. They wanted to adjust the theming so there would be like a moonshiner theme that would be more fitting for the Maggie Valley area. And I guess there was going to be a lot less emphasis on rides, more emphasis on shopping, on restaurants, kind of being a little shopping area with gunfights on top of the mountain, which I thought, was probably one of the best things that they could have done with the property. However, days before they were supposed to open, they announced they would not be opening, and they put the park up for sale. It's all really kind of confusing because there was never any changes done to the park. There was never any changes to the theming. I had heard that some shop owners had purchased space, and that some made claims that they were not allowed to go up and get their property from the top of the mountain. And now we come to modern times. 2018, after sitting, rotting on top of the mountain, with having been for sale for several years, it is announced in the local newspaper that Ghost Town has been purchased by 2 former Disney executives, and they will be reopening it as an amusement park called Ghost Town Adventure. Now, these Disney executives are named Spencer and Valerie O'Barrell. I don't know if I'm saying that last name right. But they weren't Imagineers or anything like that. They were corporate Disney employees that had retired, which on the surface seems to give quite a bit of credibility to their ability to turn Ghost Town around. I was immediately skeptical because I had seen with my own eyes what bad shape Ghost Town was in, how much work it really needed, and plus the history of problems had just really mounted. So I was really surprised that people that had worked for Disney would see this as a good investment. So the newspapers reporting that the Ghost Town has been sold, that these 2 Disney executives had purchased it. Valerie O'Barrell, I don't know how to say her last name, I'm sorry, that she would kind of be the spokesperson for Ghost Town Adventures. But for a spokesperson, she did not speak a lot. The newspapers, the local media had made several requests just for a comment from her, and she would not even speak to the newspaper. And then as a weirdness started to float around Ghost Town, like it always seems to. It had turned out that Valerie and Spencer did not own Ghost Town, that they had been leasing it until the sale was final. Now the sale had supposedly had been scheduled to go down in June, and then for some reason it just didn't happen. It kept moving forward. And allegedly they were leasing Ghost Town, getting work done. The whole thing was kind of strange. Now, I actually went to a town hall meeting, and I attempted to film it, but Valerie went to the town hall meeting, and she did not allow any videotaping or live streaming, which to me, that was a red flag right there. I don't know, you know, why would you not want publicity? What are you trying to hide by not allowing people to hear your message? And she actually recognized me from my videos and mistakenly called me the Vagabond, thinking that was my name. And nowhere in the speech did she ever deny that she owned Ghost Town in the Sky. Yet it was pretty much public knowledge that the sale had not gone through. You know, you can look these things up online, who owns a property, and it was still owned by Alaska Presley. And then came the lawsuits. There was 2 lawsuits filed against Ghost Town and the new company that was purchasing Ghost Town, or appeared to be purchasing Ghost Town. They allegedly had not paid contractors that they had contracted to do work around the park. Also, this individual named Lamar Berry, who had not been talked about previously, had some association with this new group buying Ghost Town, and apparently he had been staying in a hotel and racked up thousands of dollars hotel bills and never paid the bill. And the hotel owner actually was suing him for the money. And then in an odd twist, Lamar Berry, who was purchasing Ghost Town from Alaska, went to her and said he didn't have a place to live and moved into her basement. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. These 2 Disney executives that were supposedly had already purchased the park were not owning the park and acting very strangely. This Lamar Berry character comes out of nowhere. He's acting strange. He's living in Alaska Presley's basement for some reason. So I was kind of piecing together through like social media and newspaper articles, kind of what is going on here. I wanted to get to the bottom of this. Fortunately for me, it became easy when the local newspaper finally exposed everything, finally gave a clear picture of what was going on here. So these 2 Disney executives, these heralded Disney executives that were supposedly purchasing the park, they had not purchased the park, and they had no intentions of purchasing the park. This Lamar Berry character wanted to sit in the shadows and kind of use these 2 executives, put them out front to as kind of a face of the company to give it credibility. Although it was really just odd that these people that were paid to be the face of the company were not speaking to anyone and acting super shifty. So who is Lamar Berry? Apparently he was a high-ranking corporate official in the Popeyes chicken restaurant chain, but he'd also been sued at least twice before for misrepresenting business ventures. And I don't know if he lost in court or not, but there was court filings against him in regards to poor business practices in launching new ideas. So as it turns out, Lamar Berry had originally planned to buy Ghost Town in June. He started asking for extensions, saying he was waiting for new investors, waiting for other money, waiting for things to come in. Apparently he started giving really strange excuses for asking for extensions on purchasing. Apparently he actually said that he needed an extension because he dropped his cell phone in the toilet. That was reported in the news. And so he was given extension after extension from June until until the very end of November, when the sale officially fell through. Of course, his group or company had done repairs on Ghost Town, apparently possibly not paying for them. So I don't know who's on the hook for that, if Alaska's on the hook or if he's on the hook. Supposedly he was still living with Alaska Presley up to several days after the deal had fallen through. And I don't know exactly the situation, but it seems like there was possible hints of manipulation or even elder abuse, of him possibly trying to manipulate her in some sort of business sense. And so the curse of Ghost Town continues. This property, it is no shortage of just strange, bizarre, and inexplicable circumstances that keep this park from being open. And I feel really bad for people, people in the Maggie Valley community who really wanted to see Ghost Town open. Even people outside of the Maggie Valley community that had fond memories of Ghost Town wanted to see it open. I say in all honesty that it would blow my mind if someone opened Ghost Town in any sort of functioning capacity. And I think that people should be scared to try by now. And what I would say to the people that are very disappointed about Ghost Town not opening, very disappointed about Ghost Town not existing anymore, the advice I give to them is that there are other options out there. If you like Wild West theme parks, gun shows, things like that, check out Tweetsie Railroad in Blowing Rock, North Carolina, or check out Guntown Mountain in Cave City, Kentucky. There are Wild West theme parks still in existence. These parks are just as old as Ghost Town, but they've managed to stay in business. So I don't know what the future of Ghost Town holds. It may just keep popping up like a zombie or a horror villain at the end of a horror movie. It's just the thing that won't die. At this point, it makes me so sad because this was a big part of a lot of people's childhood. It almost seems like it would be just merciful just if no one tried to open Ghost Town anymore, they just left it alone. But anyways, let me know what you think about this whole situation. Leave a comment down below. Also, if you'd like to see other places that I've been, check down in the description. I'll show you an interactive map of all the places I've been. You can make suggestions on where I need to go next. If you'd like to support the channel, I sell t-shirts and I have a Patreon where I send out postcards with a donation of at least $3. But for now, this one's in the bag.